If you're a coaching consultant and you want to be able to have a leverage group program, I want to share with you the 7-step process. I've helped dozens upon dozens of entrepreneurs build multi-million dollar businesses with the exact model that I'm going to share with you over the next few minutes. All right, let's get started. So consider this. A lot of the problem with being able to scale a 6-figure business is, of course, the delivery model. I was talking to someone the other day and they said, Scott, I have hundreds of people that want to be able to have my coaching, my consulting. They're incredibly in demand. But the problem is I don't understand how I can actually deliver to them. There's only one of me and there are so many other people. And of course, this is how we get kind of into the trap of leverage, the typical leverage group program where, you do a group call each week and then you keep doing more group calls and at some point you burn out. Now, in the time that I've been in this online world, I've sort of understood, I've sort of seen a new paradigm that perhaps could also work for you. A leverage model that allows us to extract who we are and allows us to be able to build a very successful business. Now, what I'm going to share with you is something that I've used to build multiple 7-figure businesses, 7+ figure businesses, and as well as been able to work time and time again across a lot of different niches, a lot of different industries to be able to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to share with that to you today in the step-by-step process, 7 steps that's going to allow you to be able to create the behind-the-scenes program that's going to be able to get you and your clients results, going to be able to help you leverage, be able to sell more people into your programs, which of course is going to allow you to have a higher degree of transformation. And I think that is one of the most major pieces that we have. We want to scale, but we want to ensure that we actually have impact. We want to actually have transformation. We're out of the knowledge economy and we're into the transformation economy. And I think that is the pinnacle paradox of where we're in. We want to be able to help and transform, but we also want to ensure that there is an equal energy exchange, because as a coach or a consultant or a person that helps the transformation for a person to go from here to there is a element of energy transfer, and a lot of the time it can feel overbearing and obligation. And so today I want to share with you how I've found really a specific strategy to be able to get from that. So let's go and let's see how we can do that today and to create a little bit of a better reality for you and a higher degree of transformation for your clients. All right. See you soon. So I'm sure you've heard it before. You need to be able to ensure and understand who your audience is, your avatar, the person that you're actually going for. Now, one of the biggest problems with being a coach or consultant is the fact that the information you have, the knowledge you have, the expertise can be applied to so many different scenarios. And a lot of the time, we as entrepreneurs have a hard time being defined by one thing. We're kind of like, I don't necessarily want to just do this thing. Now, if you're going to have a leveraged program, it's going to require the fact that it does one specific thing. So, for example, for the Relevancy Engine, which is our program for helping someone at $20 to $50K a month that has a higher ticket offer scale to 7 figures, kind of get the fundamentals. Well, that is the one specific thing. We don't help e-commerce businesses, brick and mortar businesses. We help people that sell things that are over $2,000. And we do that over a 90-day span. Now, in Project Nuclear, we help people that have multi-million and million-dollar businesses scale up so they have $5 million+ businesses. That is what we specifically do. Now, these very specific offers, have to come back to a very specific audience, as a very specific avatar. So in your case, you have to have somebody that is, of course, bought into you. They have to be bought into, and what we'll talk about in a few minutes, bought into your process. Then on top of that, it's also incredibly important that you understand this avatar, that you very much talk to this avatar, and in terms of your messaging, and we'll get to that as well, that you're able to relate and resonate with this audience. that you're really attempting to magnetize towards you so that you can help them transform, so you can help them see their current reality and want to install and deploy a new one. Now, this avatar creation can be as simple as complex as you really want it to be, but one of the biggest things that I always look at creating a leverage program is what is the thing that I know that I can do really, really quickly. If I already have an audience, who is that audience and how and who is already in there that I could necessarily serve. And then 3, and we'll get to this in a second, what offer can that audience see that makes them be like, yes, right? The irresistible moment where the person's like, this is meant to be. Now, further than that, this means that when you're creating an offer, an audience, you're being very specific on it, you have to almost zero in on saying, no, I'm not going to work with this person, this person, this person, this person. This is hard. But this is a difference between having a one-on-one coaching where you have the ability to have this malleable sort of, I can create a package, to having a very specific program that brings someone from a very specific place to another very specific place. And of course, when you do this over and over, which is part of the leverage, it creates a process, it creates a system. But if you do not create the ability for the system to be created, then you're not going to ever be able to have a system, which means that there's nothing that's repeatable and you're never going to have a true business. You're going to have a hustle that is involving you. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to have something that's created as a business. Yes, you're going to feel a little weird as a creator. Yes, you're going to feel a little scarcity because you know that you could help this person, that person. But the beautiful thing is when someone sees this offer, they know it's for them or they don't, allowing it so that when they get on the phone, when they see your marketing, they know to be either magnetized or repelled, specifically based upon who you serve. All right, so the second thing that I think is super important once you understand who you're specifically going to in terms of your avatar and your audience is having a specific methodology. Everything changed for me when in 2015 I launched the SSF method, the sidewalk, slow lane, fast lane. And things are creating even more momentum now that I have the ROI method, relevancy, omnipresence, and intimacy. Now, these methodologies is something that I've always utilized instead of all the marketing that I've done for the 15 plus years that I've been in this world. But the difference is that those that have methodologies and those that don't are looked up to in a different way. You have a lot further different authority, and the way that you come across from a teaching perspective really is different. See, when you have a methodology, someone can understand what you do inside of context. When you just say, hey, here's a formula or here's all these different pieces, it's too specific. See, somebody needs to be able to see their reality on top of, or kind of taking your methodology and putting on top of them. Now, the other interesting thing is when you have a methodology, what you'll find is that people will start applying it to all parts of their business, all parts of their life, and they'll start talking about it far more. See, this is a difference of, say, someone saying, Scott's a really great guy, to Scott has this really great methodology that allows people to scale 7-figure businesses. Now, which one's going to be the one that actually intrigues? Of course, it's going to be the one that has a specific result, which was based upon a specific methodology. Now, the question always is, well, how do you create this methodology? Well, it's already inside of you. It's already, whatever way that you bring someone through the process of working with you, well, that is very specifically your methodology. Now, how you develop it and how you put all the pieces together and how you name it, well, that is a unique process that I won't go into today, but really what it comes about saying is, here is the method that I've come across after my experiences and my knowledge and my expertise, and I'm going to share it with you in this way. And whether it is a Venn diagram, or whether it's a pyramid, or whether it's whatever visual cue or metaphor that you necessarily use to be able to get across that methodology, it's very important. Now, here's why it's important. Not only do you become more magnetizing inside of your marketplace, but what actually ends up happening is the fact that once you've extracted your methodology, people now can buy into your methodology instead of buying you. Now, this is the difference between having a 6-figure business and a multi-7-figure business, because there's no way that you can keep the delivery of a 7-figure business. It's just technically impossible unless all your clients are paying you $250,000, which is going to be a lot of stress on your shoulders. See, when somebody buys into a methodology, you're the one attracting them to the methodology through your marketing and your sales, and then it allows for you to hire other people, which we'll get to in a minute, to be able to help someone through the journey of implementing or deploying that methodology. Now, it doesn't matter if you're fitness, if you're life coaching, if you're in financial advisory, if you're a real estate agent, it doesn't matter if you're coaching or anything in between. Everyone has a specific methodology, and this methodology can be applied. Now, with the ROI method and the relevancy engine, for example, this has allowed me to have a program where we bring in dozens of people on a monthly basis, and I don't actually have to personally speak to them. Now, what's also really interesting is most of the time, we're not the best coach or not the best mentor for the people that we attract into our various programs. There's people out there that literally their entire job on planet Earth was to be a coach or to be a mentor. It's what their calling was. See, right now, it's kind of a 50-50 chance that you may be a technician or you might be the visionary, you may be the creator. And if you're the creator and the visionary, a lot of the time it's not your job to be the technician. I know for me it's not. When I get on the phone to mentor someone, I'm actually not the best person to do it. I have the amazing ability, much like you, to be able to create methodologies from the experience that I've been able to have over the time of being an entrepreneur and scaling seven-figure businesses. But when it comes to actually helping someone deploy it, it's actually better for it to be someone else. Now, this is the pinnacle, the kind of almost have-be of any type of leverage group program. Because if it relies upon you, it means that you have to be on the group calls. It means you have to be replying to things. It means you have to be the one coaching or mentoring. But in this context, it allows you to be able to have and deploy your team so that you can scale in having a real business. So the third one, this is Cooper, by the way. What's up, Cooper? Say hello to everybody. So the third one, and probably one of the most important pieces of being able to have a leverage program that's going to be able to build you a multi-million-dollar business, is your offer. And your offer is one of the biggest pieces that people mess up. And the reason that people mess up an offer is because, of course, they didn't get the avatar right. They didn't get the process right. So your avatar is the allowing of ability to get the perfect client. And then from there, your ability to have a methodology allows you to be able to have a very specific offer for a very specific person. Now, this makes a difference from getting on the phone and having a $6,000 program 1 minute to a $9,000 program the next minute to a $15,000 program that all have different levels of delivery. I mean, this is the difference of saying this is exactly what you're getting, and this is what's going to create a transformation. This also creates an area of trust for the people that you're delivering it to. Because if you're on the phone and you feel like you can get 15 coaching sessions versus 4 of the last call that you got on, you may do it. But that's not, again, going to create a business. This creates a hustle. It creates a nightmare of structure, a nightmare of the operational side. And what we have to do is we have to ensure that there's coherence between the offer and the transformation that you're providing and allowing it so that you aren't the one that have to provide the entire transformation. Now, an offer really should allow someone to see very specifically where they are and where they need to be and the level of support that is needed for it. Now, inside of the programs that I run, as well as the programs that a lot of our clients run, I recommend a combination of one-on-one calls, group calls, Slack access, as well as, of course, video training. Now, there's very specific ways to be able to do this, but I believe that a leverage program should have one-on-one on a weekly basis. Now, further than that, I think that majority of group programs should span 90 days with, of course, a continuity offer after the 90 days for the extension of a year. But remember that most people can't imagine their life 90 days from now. They can't imagine what their bank account looks like. They can't imagine what their life looks like. They can't imagine what their relationship looks like. And so 90 days allows for enough time for someone to see that perhaps their life could be different, their reality could be different, but at the same time, it doesn't scare them. Now, inside of this offer, the one-on-one help, don't worry, you're not the one that's actually going to be the one doing the one-on-one. The one-on-one help allows for accountability as well as allowing someone to be able to work through their various problems, challenges, and potential opportunities. So over 90 days, I highly recommend that there's a weekly call, so 13 calls over the span of 90 days, that allows them to go through the entire process, your formula, that allows them to get from where they need to be to where they want to be. Now, further from this, I think there's great opportunity to be able to do group calls in our programs. We do two, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, to allow for different time zones. And inside of these calls, again, not done by you and not done by me, our head coaches allow for our students and the people inside of our programs, and the same thing for our clients and their programs, to be able to get any of the problems or issues or challenges they have that come up in between of the time that they're talking with their mentor or their coach, depending on the scenario. On top of this, we also allow access to a Slack channel, allowing for there to be a community built so that people aren't just buying into the process, but they're also buying into a larger community, a place where they feel like they're in the trenches with other people, and they get access to the coaches for any little things that they need throughout that actual week in between phone calls. Now, on top of this, to be able to create intimacy between you and the other person, one of the things that we do is have a monthly call with me. And inside of that monthly call, we go through the different questions, we go through the different pieces that aren't necessarily in the program inside of the video training. Because we know that different people that come in have different mindset blocks, different issues, different opportunities, and we want the ability for them to be able to get past that in a fairly regular basis. So that is just, our offering, for example, with the relevancy engine, along with a few other things. And that is the same sort of offering that we recommend most people do when they're looking at a high-touch, highly transformable program. See, I don't believe that information is really what people need. People need true help, true accountability, true coaching and mentoring to be able to go from here to there. And I think that is so, so, so important. And then, of course, the last piece of the offer is, what will the offer do? You can have the different pieces of the intimacy and how you help, but really you need to define what the offer does. And so for the relevancy engine, for example, it gives the person, the entrepreneur that's making $20,000 to $50,000 a month, the baseline fundamentals and really the ground line baseline ability to scale to 7 figures by allowing them help with marketing, lead generation, and sales, so that, of course, they can get to 7 figures, where then they'll have lots of new challenges and new opportunities. And once you have all these pieces together, combined with who your avatar is, in our case, entrepreneurs making 20 to 50K, then from that point, being able to understand exactly where it is positioned in the marketplace, where, of course, we know and how it can actually create the transformation and what the offer looks like, we're on to the next piece. So now you have this kind of group program structured out, and you don't actually have to do all of it. You don't have to do all the phone calls and do all the pieces, because at the end of the day, that's not actually your real unfair advantage, right? So how do you get somebody to do these phone calls and ensure that people go through your process? Well, that really comes from, of course, extracting your process and ensuring that somebody actually knows it. But I believe that there's a huge distinction between coaching and mentoring, and at this point, you should really understand the difference. In my belief, a coach comes to the point of having really no real necessary understanding, expertise, knowledge about the scenario. They're coming for accountability and for clarification, allowing the person to be coached through their current process. Now, a mentor, on the other hand, kind of brings 50% of the expertise, knowledge, background, and the person coming to the phone call brings their 50%. And together, essentially what ends up happening is that they can kind of create this and mesh it together and have something really, really great. Now, I don't necessarily believe that there is a wrong thing with coaching, wrong thing with mentoring, wrong thing with advising. They are all different sort of things, and they're all sort of different offers. But what I have found is that mentorship really changes everything. And so mentorship is defined by having someone that's a step or two ahead of the person that is coming inside of the program. Now, all of the things that I do, I always recommend having and hiring mentors for your program instead of just coaches. They cost far more money, and on average, 5 to 8 times more money to be able to hire a mentor than a coach. Because, of course, they have to have experience, and more than likely, they may even have their own business. But there's always this kind of internal need to be able to mentor people. And what I've found is that if you reach out to others that are good at what they do, they may just actually mentor your students with your process to learn more from you, to learn more about themselves, to feel like they're also mentoring. And of course, it's actually a really easy way to be able to generate more revenue, generate more profit for those people. That's what we've done inside of Relevancy Engine. We've taken people that are making between $250,000 to $500,000 a year, that have a marketing background and been doing it for 5+ years, bring them into our methodology, and then they bring our students through the Relevancy Engine, the ROI process. This works amazingly well, and what it allows us to do is to be able to give and offer a level of excellence and a level of mentoring that really the industry has never seen before. And I think you should look at and kind of internalize and kind of look in the mirror and say, well, do I want to offer a coaching program or a mentoring program? Now, what this also allows you to do is it really develops a relationship so that your business, in my case, the ROI company, allows so that I don't have to be the centerfold point inside. When somebody actually gives us money, we're bringing them through a process, the ROI process, but it doesn't have to be me bringing them through it. It's not just my personality anymore, it's the personality of the collective of people that, of course, allow them to go through the Relevancy Engine. We now have 9 mentors that work with our students, we work with our entrepreneurs every single week, and having that call on a weekly basis. And I really, really, really love this model because it allows for the intimacy and it allows for like the detailed help without making it back on you. And this has allowed us to scale Relevancy Engine to a multi-million-dollar business and the ROI as a company to a multi-million-dollar business that will do past 8 figures this year simply because of this leverage model, by being able to bring in really great people to help those that are coming into our programs so that they can get to that next step, and in our case, to that next step in their business. So the next piece of being able to have a leveraged offer is making sure that your program is based upon really frameworks and a journey. Now, every single time that you work with someone in a one-on-one way, just the same way that you have a process, which becomes your methodology, you also have a way of being able to sort of do things at a certain time. So for example, inside of the Relevancy Engine, we know that someone needs to look at their positioning, their offer, their messaging, their financials, their avatar, before they do anything when it comes to actually implementing a system for allowing them to be relevant and to generate leads and appointments and phone calls for their business. Now, we know that everyone is different, and so this is why I love frameworks and not formulas. A formula requires that there is not so many variables, but a framework can be installed and deployed on someone's business. And with these frameworks, it allows our mentors to actually be able to distill someone's business, see where they're to, and instead of changing their entire business, allows us to take a framework and put it on top of it. So a framework, for example, on how to properly do a webinar, if someone needs to do a webinar, a framework on how to properly utilize and develop content distribution, and things like, in our case, the relevancy grid, things like content blocks and content stacks. And of course, inside of your business, you have these different frameworks that you use and you may not even know. And of course, part of it is being able to extract this and being able to put it into a type of program, a leverage type of program. Now, on top of this, it's really important from my experience with all of this that we have these frameworks that can be applied instead of a formula, because it allows for the success of each individual person coming in, knowing that everyone doesn't have to be exactly the same. Then when we add these frameworks upon a journey, meaning week 1 we're doing this, week 2 we're doing this, week 3 we're doing this, week 4 we're doing this, while on top of the frameworks, we create a scenario where everyone feels like they are not kind of getting jammed into necessarily one specific direction, but the mentor can sort of look at the frameworks, look at the journey, and customize that on demand for the people that go through the program, giving them the highest chance of success and the highest chance of actual transformation, allowing us, of course, to be able to have the highest level of results imaginable, and more than likely actually better results than even if they worked with you one-on-one. I think that's the most amazing thing, having leverage and the best results. That is just a beautiful combination, and of course is what is the fundamentals of a business that's going to be able to scale to multiple 7 figures and not just be a complete bust. Now, I believe as one of the core values of my business that we are in the transformational business, not the information business. I believe that we're, kind of rocketed on past the knowledge economy and, very rapidly inside of the transformational economy. You even look at the market growth size of e-learning to coaching and consulting, and they're vastly different. Now, this really is an interesting paradox because we are surrounded by so much information, yet so many people are not changing their life. So many people are staying the same way they've always been.
And transformation requires, of course, mentorship. It requires coaching, and requires structure and frameworks, everything that we've talked about thus far. And one of the things I want you to kind of remind yourself that your program, your leverage program, doesn't need all of this content. Inside of Relevancy Engine, we have less than 10 hours of content for the entire thing. And my past programs had 40, 50, 60 hours of content, and nobody would ever get through it. So my belief is that transformation requires a reduction in the amount of content and an increase in the consumption of that actual content that is utilized along with the mentoring or the coaching or whatever the program looks like. Now, this, of course, is different than what you may want to do, because you're like, well, I want to give. But in reality, you're actually giving more by giving less in the scenario of transformation over information. And I think that you watching this video, even up to this point thus far, means that you want to be able to give a transformational experience to those that you actually work with. And I think that that's one of the coolest things ever. So just make sure that you're taking the actions, that you're giving the experience, that through the customer journey, you aren't asking too much, but rather asking exactly what's needed for the outcome. Remember, we're not trying to make anyone a master of the information that we're giving them. We're trying to get them to have a new result. Mastery takes much time, not 90 days, not 6 months. But what we're trying to do is allow that person to have a considerable difference. And a considerable difference and mastery are two very different things. So I got a fun question for you. Does someone need to be able to have a transformation on your clock or their own clock? Now, another piece that I really believe is that we need to illuminate over manipulate. And when we illuminate inside of our marketing, that illumination can happen anytime. It doesn't happen during a launch. It doesn't happen to us opening or closing. And so that's why I believe that leverage group programs, for a number of reasons, need to be evergreen. They need to be able to happen at any given time. So inside of the Relevancy Engine, we allow people to come in at any given time. Now, we do have a cap. We do have X number of people that we can only kind of take. And then after that, there's a wait list. But overall, we want to create an experience. We want to create really a scenario where the person can sort of come in when it's really relevant to them, not just relevant to you. Now, further than this, we don't want to create a launch cycle business. I mean, that's really the epitome of a hamster wheel, right? We keep on launching, we keep on doing new things. And we want to create a sustainable business that grows each and every single month, not up and down, up and down, up and down. We don't want to create the roller coaster of revenue. We want to create an actual sustainable system, and that's what's required for that. Now, majority of models are open it up and close it down, open it up and close it down. And so, of course, utilizing the ROI method, for example, allows you to have a consistent number of qualified applications that want to work with you right away, that have their pain illuminated so that you don't have to manipulate them with closing the cart or countdown timers or saying that they need to make a decision in the next 24 hours. It really just allows them to say, you know what, this is important enough to me now, and I'm going to take action on it on my own accord. Because I don't believe a man or a woman, change of their opinion really changes their opinion because of some words. Deep down, they have to want to actually transform. Because we're in the transformation economy again, not the knowledge economy. We're not just trying to sell a 997 product and get a sale. We're trying to actually change a human being, a human doing, into doing something different. I think we can't, expect someone to do that on our time. They had to do it on their time. So that really means that your program, your product needs to be evergreen. It needs to be something that can be sold consistently and all of the time. So that is the 7 steps to being able to create a very highly leveraged program that you can bring dozens of people into every single month. You can generate millions of dollars of revenue over the span of a year. In terms of the company structure, it allows you to have these mentors and coaches that are driven by a head coach. And then, of course, you have, as time goes on, a community coordinator, almost a community person. Check out Joey Coleman's work with Never Lose a Customer Again, so that you have high retention. And then from here, you can, of course, develop your continuity product. And just a quick, interesting thing is when you develop a continuity product, make it so that it's half of as much as someone is used to paying on the monthly fee for your product. So if your product is, say, $4,000 a month, you would charge $2,000 a month for the entire year, so $24,000 product. And then, of course, what you're wanting to do with that is then a different offer. It's a different positioning. It's a different messaging. It's a different avatar, all these different types of things. But here's the thing, guys. It's just such a beautiful model that we've seen deployed in such success, such just amazing evolution of what transformation is. And it goes beyond a group coaching program where, there's a bunch of people in just the room. It actually creates intimacy. And I think that that's one of the most underlying pieces of transformation. I mean, a transformation without intimacy is just so difficult because it requires someone to be accountable to themselves, to have all the pieces of information, to be able to understand the context of all the pieces that are there. And I don't think that that happens very often. And I don't think that that happens almost ever. And I think, you listening to this video right now, I mean, if you want to launch that out there, I would love to be able to help you do that. And we do that inside of the Relevancy Engine all the time, being able to help people kind of transition their offers and relaunch their offers. And I mean, we've had so many amazing entrepreneurs come in that have had small audiences, almost no audiences, and be able to create these products and this new transformative experience for the people that they work with. And people just resonate with it because it's such a lost art. Everyone is just pushed through this, like, you can't put a round peg in a square hole, right? And I think people know that. I think the people that buy this and want this transformation, they know that. They want something more. They want something deeper. So I won't go today on how to launch your first offer. That's for another video, another experience, in another time, in another place. But if you want to be able to implement the ROI method, be able to be relevant to your audience, be able to really dial in your offer, your positioning, your messaging, be able to launch that, be able to create an automatic way to be able to bring the perfect people into your world that can pay you the perfect price and that you have a perfect connection to, then I really want to help you deploy the ROI method into the business. So with that said, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you do. And I'm so excited to be able to help you if it is something that makes sense. And if not, I'll continue to see you in my videos, articles, and across the internet. Scott Oldford here, and I'm so excited for you to start transforming more people's lives and upgrading their reality and the level of consciousness here on planet Earth. Talk soon. So if you enjoyed this content and you want more of it, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. And if you want other entrepreneurs just like you to be able to also access this information, this knowledge, make sure you go ahead and share it with someone that means the most to you. Remember, as entrepreneurs, it's our job to be able to help other entrepreneurs continue to elevate, allowing us to evolve society and evolve our world. I'll see you next time. Bye.